go! It's GI Joburg episode 372. We're talking comics. We're back. My name is Steve. I'm joined by Rob. Hey, Rob.
Hey, Rob. Hey, Steve. How's it going?
Dude. Well, we are getting past our awesome overview of 1985, if I do say so myself. I mean, our overview was fine. It was an awesome year. And it is the 40th anniversary of said year. But it's been 3 episodes deep, and I think we've exhausted all our talking points for now. We might come back to a
Yeah.
few later, particularly Paul and my friction on the USS Flag and whether you should really want one or not.
Wow.
But we have been remiss. We've been neglecting the comic books, which have been going gangbusters, and we haven't really said anything about that. And people have actually come up to me and said, "Yo, Steve, what does GI Joburg think about ARAH? What does GI Joburg think about
What's
the
going
Energon
on
Universe?"
there? Don't you guys know how to read? Huh?
Well,
What's
maybe
going
there's about
on?
5, but I'm flattered and touched that people want to have these kind of conversations. And hey, GI Joburg, we're nothing if not crowd pleasers.
Absolutely. I love
If you
pleasing
want us to
crowd.
play the hits, we'll play them. We'll play them on loop. In fact, that's kind of where Larry Harmer's head is at, by the sounds of things. Nowadays, he's kind of maybe he's in his golden years, and he's just playing what he thinks people want to hear. Um, I feel there's that feedback loop sometimes, and it might be borne out by what we see happen in issue 315.
hmm
Maybe.
It's wild. I wasn't ever expecting what happened in 315.
Oh,
It is.
really?
It was crazy because obviously 313 ends with Destro capturing Cobra Commander. Then we get a little respite where suddenly there's this side mission where they kind
Yeah.
of gone off to Crucial Bismia or wherever, and they're like trying to
Crucial.
hop onto it.
I like it. I like it.
They're trying to hop onto a little child soldier, capture a rogue Fred unit, with a guest artist who I think, as far as I know, hasn't worked on GI Joe at least recently in the last few ARAH issues, because obviously the two arcs have kind of been switching between Chris Moonaham and Pepe Larraz. So suddenly there's this kind of like stopgap. There's a month.
What? Say that name again? Pepe Larraz?
Pepe Larraz? What's his name? I don't know.
Paul
The other artist.
Pelletier?
Oh, that one. Sorry. Okay, Pepe Larraz is an actual artist. That is a real person.
I believe it. I believe it. This is why we
Oh
have
no,
these
he's the.
conversations. Because Rob, you are my comics guru. You got more comic knowledge running around your head than the
Well,
average Joe fan.
I think because he's the new artist on Amazing Spider-Man, and I read that recently.
Pepe
And I
Larraz.
think I got them confused. But no,
Who was
we've
the
been
fill-in
talking.
artist on 314? Do you have that
So
at your fingertips?
314. The fill-in artist was Andrew Kranke. Kranke.
Now, it's a plot line that we actually had our last brushings with under the previous publisher. So this is an IDW storyline with Alcalbra, a new baddie that Larry wrote in as part of Sherlock's backstory.
Because I was wondering where they came from, because I mean, obviously, I haven't read what came before most of the IDW run, so I was like, okay, this is a very random pause in the main story to kind of like cover this weird side story. It completely swiped me. It shot
Fan service. I'm telling you now, bro. This is a point in favor of my theory that, like, if you write Larry a letter asking him a very pointed question about a very specific character way back in the lore, he will file that for later and like come back to it. If people want to know what happened to Alcalbra, well, guess what? We'll do a one-shot story about that. Yep.
And I gotta say that even that issue was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It's very fast-paced. I love the dynamic action that they use as they go along.
A little bit of a rug out from under you moment where... Oh, are you muted? Yes, he is. I'll just talk on my own. Spoiler maybe, but
I don't
the
know. Is it a
hostage
spoiler?
turns out to be a body double for the hostage.
For a tiny little child, and her village was destroyed by Alcabra, and now she wants revenge. But somehow she's convinced by Mongoose, I think it was, to not kill him and rather take him in to stand trial for his crimes.
Kangaroo Court, maybe. But I think that might tie up Alcabra quite neatly. We don't definitively get information that he's been offed, but it's highly likely because he doesn't actually make it back to the United States. If memory.
Yes, yeah, they kind of hand him off to her. They're gonna drop her and him off somewhere else where he will stand trial for his crimes in her country. So it was
Good luck
interesting.
with
So
that.
it's very self-contained. I love the action in it. Interesting cast as well. I think we had Tunnel Rat, we had Mongoose and Sherlock. Um, Roadblock, I think, was on the team as well, and Lightfoot, was it Lightfoot?
This
Wielding
is a
a
very
cool
good
shotgun.
recall. Honestly, this wasn't on the docket for this episode. So
No,
if
but I was
Steve and
just
Rob
because
we sound like we're talking out of our rear ends, it's because we read the issue once and didn't really
yeah,
think
and we
about
kind
it
of like
for this.
moved on for it.
Yeah, so
Oh, it's Tripwire, Tunnelrat, Tripwire, and Sherlock and Roadblock, and then
nice.
Mongoose meets them at the staging ground. But anyway, I just wanted to set the stage of what
Mm.
where we were as we head into 315.
All
So
right, then 315. Let's talk about it. Seems that's
315,
queued up and ready.
it's wild. So obviously we have the consistently as always and forever. Chris Mooneyham is a just an incredible artist. You cannot go wrong with him. He
Mm.
seems to really get GI Joe, I feel, and get action. Um,
Does he have a reputation beyond this book? Was he a name already? Was he a superstar artist or sort of up
I
and coming
unfortunately
rising
don't know
star?
I don't know him from anything else. Like this is
Right.
literally the only thing I've ever seen him draw.
Of course, we are looking at the Andy Kubert cover at the moment. This is, I suppose,
Yes.
the A cover with Cobra Commander battered and sort of mask cracked. He's chained up with some heavy duty chains, some sort
Oof.
of electronic gear even on the chain
It really
shackle.
sets the mood. I mean, like it's a fantastic cover, and it's nice that it shows you like where we are at this point. He's been captured, and what happens next. It's a very
Mm,
compelling cover to the issue.
let's talk about that interior artwork. This is, yeah, as you say, Chris Mooneyhan, who doesn't really have a name beyond this book, but is certainly going to.
Absolutely. I mean, he certainly loves to put his name on all of his splash pages.
Yes. Yeah. Well, in modern climate, can you fault the artist for wanting to turn a buck on a splash page?
No, of
Anything that's
course not.
particularly gorgeously rendered and a full page spread will probably fetch a
Mhm.
higher uh, price on the aftermarket. You want to get
Oh,
your
for
name in there,
sure.
pal. Hmm.
Yeah, you got to do that.
So Cobra Commander is a prisoner of Destro now. We're getting back
Hmm.
to where we left off after the Battle of Springfield. Destro is pretty pissed about Baroness being in a critical condition, and even though Cobra Commander didn't pull the trigger, it was his Crimson Guardsman decoy. He
Yeah,
gave
he
the
kind of.
order, so
Yeah,
his
he did.
punishment will be severe.
So he's like, my revenge, rests upon the life of the Baroness, and if she survives, it might not be so severe.
Now, Baroness is getting the best care that money can buy. Destro's having a specialist flown in to
Hmm.
operate on her, and it's not clear as to where the bullet is. I think Larry kind of sidestepped having to do any kind of medical research and
Yeah,
heavy
she's kind
lifting
of
on
like
this.
she got shot somehow. It's somewhere near her spine. I mean, there's some sort of
She is still in
details
a
about.
coma. The bullet is still lodged in a precarious place near a vital organ. I mean, try
Oof.
not to get any specific detail out at all, Destro. This is only the woman who's going to operate on your paramour. Oh,
I'm sure
Jesus.
you know the details.
Now, if Cobra Commander is responsible for giving the order to have Baroness shot,
Mm.
Destro is a bit of a hypocrite because he surely shoulders some of the blame for sending her in the first place. She was in
Yeah,
like his first wave of assault on Springfield, and like she was coming up pretty light. Like only after she got shot did Destro mobilize all his tanks and planes and whatnot and do a
yeah. 'Cause
massive
she went in
landing.
supported by the Dreadnoks, and it's like,
Like
okay,
what?
so you chose this ragtag team of bikers to be the people who protect your love.
Destro threw her into the line of fire. I mean, did he expect her not to get hit? Come on,
Because
Destro.
the minute he arrives, he kind of he sorts the entire situation out. He's like a one-man army. Yes, he's supported by his entire army, but like, he himself just gets it done. And it's like,
A bit of a flawed logic there. I mean, yeah,
he could
Destro,
have
why don't
gone
you
in
just lead?
together.
Yeah, lead with that. Lead with your incredible, I don't know,
I don't really
gizmos
feel like
and.
leaving home today. I haven't heard my servants calling me loud enough.
Right. So in Springfield, the Iron
Yes, we're getting
Grenadier
the wrap up.
troops are, yeah, they're rounding up all the enhanced mutated Cobra troops or Revanche troops.
Well, it's
Serpentor's guys,
interesting.
basically.
It's interesting at this point that actually, like, GI Joe have pulled back from this. Like, you'd think to some degree GI Joe would have some sort of involvement in the wrap up of Springfield, considering it is an American city on American soil. That like
Yeah,
GI Joe was just like, let's just allow these foreign forces from
foreign
Scotland to kind of
foreign militants and domestic like terrorists.
terrorists to kind of like
Yeah,
sort themselves out, and then GI
they've
Joe's
got
just like,
carte blanche. Maybe,
do
maybe,
whatever you
maybe it's
want.
a quarantine situation. Maybe there's a massive cordon around Springfield, and only the Iron Grenadiers are dumb enough, brave enough,
To kind of like stay in there. But like the
ordered
situation
by
has to be
Destro
cleared
enough.
up. But
Yeah.
because I really do feel like GI Joe, or at least the American Army, to some degree, would be involved here, but they're not. You'll discover later on in the issue that they're just basically pissed off to like set up whatever they're going to do next. They're like, okay, things are sorted. Let's go home.
I'm pretty sure these Scotsmen in kilts have not had their visas checked by any immigration
Yes,
authorities.
they got flown in on like super secret ultrasonic jets. Like they're completely illegally there at this point
Hmm.
in time. But yeah, so we're getting that wrap up. While simultaneously on Cobra Island, Alpha Omega 001, he's coming to the island to kind of exposition out the end of the whole entire mutant situation. And it is very dramatic and it is very abrupt. He's
Hmm.
like explaining, okay, have everyone line up. Oh, very cool. Have this other type of people line up. Oh, and but by the way, just administer the mutant vaccine to
Hmm.
the normal people here. It'll hurt a lot, but the process is very quick. And they do it, and like that, everyone is
Everyone's
human again.
human again. Well, okay. This is the wrap up, and it's hella abrupt. Like, is this basically? I've written myself into a corner. I'm gonna hit reset in this sort of the most basic bitch Route One
Yeah,
way.
it
Okay.
very much is. Like this entire issue is a reset. It is very much a reset. We are completely, throwing away the entire mutant plot. Obviously, in 313, it appears that Serpento Khan was completely obliterated by
Hmm.
Destro. So they're kind of tying off all of these little threads that were introduced in the new Skybound era of ARAH.
All right. My question to you, Rob:
Mm.
Was this Larry's plan all along to kind of introduce this thing, have a big battle, and then like dismiss it with no lasting effects?
Mm.
Or is this a case of like he didn't foresee GI Joe lasting this long? Like when IDW's time license with GI Joe was coming to an end, he had issue
Yeah, like
300 to kind of to aim for, and this is
yeah,
all just an epilogue that he wasn't really banking on. So
yeah. I
was the
just
mutant bomb supposed to be like some kind of maybe doomsday weapon that wasn't a mutant bomb? Maybe it was maybe the entire Cobra Island was meant to be vaporized at that point, taking the Joes with it, or like I don't know what ending was he playing at. To now have this aftermath that isn't really going to be ongoing. Like, what was the
mm.
point of that whole saga if it's so
Well,
quickly undone?
Well, I feel like, I mean, we've often talked about this, and I think he said it as well. He doesn't plan ahead necessarily. I mean, obviously, there's many decades between, when he originally started writing things and how he writes now. Um, but I feel like 300 probably felt like a good ending point. Like that's where we headed. We're at the end of, of GI Joe. It's IDW. Like this is the end. They're handing license off to someone else. Let's end it on a big bang. So I feel like you know, short answer, I don't think he planned for this. He kind of like pivoted. He was told like how the rest of the Skybound, the Energon universe was going to go about. So I thought, okay, let me introduce some more like weirder aspects to this thing. Um, and then maybe the reception wasn't so good, and then he kind of went back on it. Let me reset and
Hmm.
go back to what it feels like a lot of people would want
So
instead of
point two in
whatever it is.
favor of Larry going with public opinion.
I
Gotcha.
think so.
Yeah.
That's also why I mentioned 314, because it kind of came out of nowhere. Because essentially, we've been very much on track with this mutant storyline up to this point, if I'm remembering correctly. Like there weren't
Mhm.
any break issues. They took breaks. Like a couple of month breaks sometimes to put out the next issue. But then suddenly there's this break to wrap up what now you've revealed to me as an old storyline. Like let's just wrap this thing up with Al Cabra. Um,
I've got two factors that might play a role. One in keeping with my Larry taking on board public opinion, because everyone
mm,
always asks and clamors for something like special missions,
mm,
one-shot stories that are engaging but immediately disposable and do not have any bearing on the ongoing like soap opera of GI Joe.
mm.
Because that's refreshing. You don't have to worry about continuity. You can just enjoy
Exactly,
the
and every
missions,
single issue
enjoy
is readable on its own. You don't
enjoy a
have to.
varied cast of characters, because special missions would typically use the B or C list.
Hmm.
But then also the fact that I now know this term called inventory issue, and maybe
Hmm.
there was a delay for 315 for whatever reason. Anyway, I'm sure there are more definitive answers. I'm sure fellow podcasters know the exact reason for 314 being a departure, but
Whoa.
hey, yeah, it's a welcome one. I am very interested in like seeing what the face of GI Joe is in the wake of this stuff all being set aside, because
Mm,
we haven't done the big reveal yet, but beyond the civilian mutants being restored back to being humans again,
hmm.
all the the revanche, like bioengineered, enhanced, like super
Cyborg,
badass cyborg able to like be thrown out of aircraft and survive completely unscathed.
crazy. They're
They
unstoppable. They're
they all
really
get their
good.
heads
Like they,
popped.
yeah, because they're
Pop, pop,
too
pop, pop,
good,
pop.
and they're not. You can't control them.
In case anyone missed that, they all get their heads popped.
Like
Alpha
yes.
001, the Revanche Blue Ninjas leader synthetic
Hmm.
thing, just flips a switch and every single one of their heads explode. And not just the ones on Cobra Island. No, no. All of the ones back in Springfield as well. Like this is this is
Yeah.
definitely the hard reset button. It's like when Cobra Commander gets hold of the Synthoid remote control and all of a
Mm.
sudden dials it up to 11, and Zartan's like, "No, you've just destroyed all the Synthoids like all over the world."
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So
pop
like
pop pop.
literally, he Alpha 001 literally pushes the reset button. He gets rid
Yeah.
of every single trace of this thing. And after this, we essentially left with one, which is Dr. Mindbender himself. He's kind of like
Yes.
the
Very good.
last
Though he
mutant
wasn't
at this
put into
point.
one of those pods to get the enhancements, so maybe
Hmm.
that was part and parcel of it. Destro puts it best when he says, "Revenge just repossessed their products and reduced their inventory by fire."
Mm.
How you want to motivate that revenge, I don't know. I guess they had a deal with Serpentor, and when Serpentor was killed, the deal is off, and
Yeah.
it's time to clean the slate.
Let's go
Still,
back to what we know works, which is entirely robotic guys, because those are very
croupiers,
effective against GI Joe.
fembots,
Yes.
blue ninjas. I mean, they're very effective in the sort of the sequence that touts them to be very effective,
Mm.
and then actually in combat with GI Joes,
Not
they
so much.
fold. We see what happened to the Joes that apparently got vaporized, trying to smuggle Dr. Mindbender and the body, the original body of Serpentor.
Hmm.
So this is Serpentor from the original Cobra Island Civil War in the 70s of the
Yes.
ARAH Marvel run.
The arrow injury and all.
Yeah, so they've popped up offshore in, I think, where's Pensacola? Is that Miami?
I think so.
It looks like anyway.
Sorry, Americans.
Yeah, well, it would make no Pensacola somewhere in Florida. Let me just say that.
Yeah,
That sounds more like it.
blanket.
Um, yeah. So, Mindbender makes good his escape
Yes, he
because
does.
apparently,
And
the U.S. Border Control are very quick to respond to
they are
Americans
super
washing up.
fast.
Yeah,
You say the word terrorist, and suddenly everyone is coming down to the beach to fucking do stuff.
well, these
Um,
Florida cops need to have a word with the ones in Springfield because there's a whole bunch of illegal immigrants back there. But anyway, let me not harp on that point too much.
in this little sequence, my only like point of contention is that like they've arrested these guys who they've accepted are terrorists, but
The Joes,
they
you
are
mean? Yeah.
the Joes, yes.
Hmm.
But I think Sean tells them, "Oh, just call the Pentagon and tell them this, and this will clear the whole situation up." I don't. That wouldn't. I mean, obviously, it's a
I
conceit
think it's
of the
Musk.
situation.
It's probably Muskrat. Sorry.
Is it Muskrat? Okay,
Mm.
well, one of them says this. I mean, they all look the same in this image, unfortunately.
Just for your information, Rob, Sean, as in Sean Collins, as in Throwdown,
Yes.
can't talk.
Oh, he can't talk. Oh, wait, yeah, he comes up later. Yes, he's at the other place.
The
But
pit.
so
Yeah.
yeah. So they just kind of accept that they make the phone call, and the whole situation it's kind of resolved within one page, which makes sense in a story wise. But like realistically, these cops are not going to be taking the word of anything these guys say until they know what the entire situation is. So that
I
was
don't
my
know.
only. I don't know. I was
It's
just
that
like,
Hollywood hand wave that like if you are
yeah,
on
I
the phone
know.
with someone with enough like clearance and authority, theirs is the word
They
of
sort
God.
it
It's
out.
like let those men go immediately. It's like, oh, okay, shit.
Mm.
Or not only will you be out of a job, but you'll never, I don't know, you'll be cleaning toilets in Guantanamo Bay or something.
Yeah. So in the next little sequence, so it's Dr. Mindbender kind of gets away, and how he
Mm-hmm.
does it is he's been upgraded by
Mm.
Revenge, with kind of his own little like devices implanted into his body.
It's his
So
version of a wrist rocket, basically. It's three
essentially,
hypodermic
yes.
needles.
But I find it interesting that he allowed that to happen to himself, but he was smart enough not to allow whatever was being done to the mutant cyborgs. Because this entire situation, this whole wrap up is because of a deal between Alpha Double O One and himself. Because Dr. Mindbender he's the one who actually came up with the mutant vaccine. So he already had it. He just didn't feel
Mm.
like using it, until he absolutely had to. So yeah, in this situation, I'll be left with a mutant Dr. Mindbender who is he is he ravenous for human flesh? Like I know that we established that at one point that they're kind of very hungry to eat people.
That trope has not been touched upon not once since it was established. It's like, yeah, you got this ravenous population marauding around Cobra Island. Like,
Hmm.
hopefully someone's bringing in fresh meat. Otherwise, they're just going to
Something.
eat each other. But we don't get any kind of follow up on
You don't
that. And I've
explore that
always
again.
asked about it. Like,
I
these guys are
know.
super hungry,
Constantly.
man.
I just hope that going forward, like that will be something at least, that makes Dr. Mindbender more sinister. Like
That
he's like
mind
having a
benders
chat
like
about it, and then he kind of brings out a finger and he's chewing on it or something. It's like,
he's skulking around the
ah,
streets of Pensacola and
yeah, just chewing on, I don't know,
eating his
spring break
subject.
people, people, teenagers on spring break.
I'd read that book. I would.
I would absolutely read that.
And he's trying to reanimate his beloved Serpentor. Hmm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, we have a final moment of this book where we see a return. The Joes, the ninja force, as it were. Snake Eyes,
Yes.
Scarlet, Jinx, Dawn Moreno head over to Staten Island. And this is great. I think surely Larry's got, well, he probably walked those streets and has maybe taken photographs to use for reference because he knew he'd need them eventually. So he probably passed them over to Chris Mooneyhand. But like, you can tell that he's done this drive before because Storm Shadow pipes up and says, just remember to turn off 440 before the Verrazano toll bridge. or Toll Plaza. So just little knickknacks, little touches of actual information that like we're completely lost on a reader who's never walked those streets before, driven them anyways. But yeah, it's quite immersive.
Yes, so we see them returning to the old pit. So essentially, it really is a hard reset. We have a whole bunch of new characters, but they are now in their old stomping grounds at the chaplain's assistant's motor pool.
Is that an A-team van?
It feels like an A-team van. It really
It's got a
does
bit
look
of
like.
a red stripe on
Oh, it
it.
does
I
have a
don't
red
know.
stripe, and even the tires are red. Actually, if you look at the rims of the
Mm,
tires, that is an 18 fan. I think Chris put that in there as kind of like a little like Easter egg. He must have.
beautiful. I've got a few A-team van toys lying around. Yeah,
Ooh.
it doesn't have the bull bar, but it's got
Mm-hmm.
all the other furniture. Lovely. What is that? A GMC. Anyway, Sean Collins is waiting for them with a fresh rubber face.
Mm-hmm.
And down they go. We see the chaplain assistant's motor pool under Fort Wadsworth, like almost in its former glory.
Yes. So
Um,
they've been renovating it. They've had a team working on it. I believe Sean was part of that team. I assume.
bunch of no-name support crew, and this is something like it's always going to be interesting to me. I mean, and to any fan of ARAH, does GI Joe is it self-contained or do they have like other dudes helping out? And I'm not talking about crewing the flag. That's another story. I'm talking about in their super secret base. Do they have technical
Mm.
personnel, or is everyone on this panel a named Joe? We just can't see the details of their faces.
Well, or they just choose not. Yeah, they choose not to name them. I
So
don't
you're
know.
saying they are like support staff
I think they
Joes?
probably are. I think by this point in time, we've come to that point where they do have support people who kind of like help them. They're
And
probably
let
like
me
I don't
have
know, like people with clearance.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you've got to have more mechanics than clutch,
Yeah, that's the
cover
thing. He
girl.
can't fix every single thing that that they operate with. So I think it
Speaking of
does
what
make
they
sense.
operate with,
Hmm.
Wolverine is pretty evident. It's got its big box missile launcher and tank treads. It's been
Mm-hmm.
upsized because there's no way this technician can stand where he's standing on the actual toy. But then the other vehicles that we see in this motor pool, I mean, granted, they're in the foreground and kind of shadowed out, and really we only see glimpses of them, like just their, I suppose, their
Kind of like
rear
the
isometric.
backsides. Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't
Yeah.
look like Joe vehicles I recognize.
Same.
Hmm.
I did try and identify them, but I really wasn't sure. I mean, the one on the bottom right kind of has missiles on it. It kind of has like a
Half
little like
track.
half track. It could almost be, I mean, something from the what's it called, the Rolling Thunder,
I
like one of
would
the front or the back, kind of like a variation on that.
look the half track of it, like the fact it's got a wheel in the front and a tank tread at the back, tell
Mhm.
me it's a variation on the Snowcat. But it looks
Uh,
kind of armored
that makes
up, which is
sense.
nice.
Yeah,
And instead of ski missiles, it looks like it's got two
like proper missiles.
wicked cool. Yeah, they look like they have extra jet or rocket exhausts, maybe to get them
Yeah.
up to high speed. Maybe they hypersonic missiles. Maybe this is some kind of anti-aircraft half
Ooh.
track. The one on the bottom left gives me either Rolling Thunder vibes, although it's way too short for that. It's
Mm.
or Persuader vibes, if those are like rockets along the
It
side.
could be.
And then on top, I'd like to think that's the battle wagon. It doesn't have the multiple
Uh,
missile launcher on the top, but it does have the sort of a tub machine gun, double machine gun on its
yeah, kind of like
side.
pushing out the sides. Yeah.
Hmm. Anyway,
Okay.
that's just me with way too much time on my hands, poring over every little detail that the artist has included. And so ends issue 315.
Yeah, so they kind of set up the little dojo in there. They do the little like mudras and whatever else to bless the place. And it's a fresh start. It's like now we actually don't know what is coming next in GI Joe. Literally anything could happen, really. I haven't looked ahead to see what the description of the next issue is. So yeah, it's going to be a surprise. It's interesting. It's like it feels like he was committed to this entire mutant storyline, um, but the sudden and abrupt ending to it is it's not worrying, but it's interesting. It's like why?
I think it overstayed its welcome. He got to the crescendo of it. They were
Mm.
disposable baddies that made up a convenient third faction. I mean, there were even four factions in this. There was
Mm.
Cobra Commanders, like blue shirts. There
Yeah.
was Serpentor's mutant enhanced. There was GI Joe, somewhat caught in the middle of it, and then
Mm.
Destro shows up and kicks ass. So take one of the players off the board. I wish we could take Revanche off the board completely. I don't know any GI Joe fan who likes this particular third faction. Um, the fact that it's got no toys or maybe one toy associated with it might have something to do with that. Like the
Yeah.
fact that this is completely non-toyetic, no one's ever wanted toys of these guys. They don't
Mm.
add anything new necessarily, other than like the dangers of AI. But like they've got
Yeah.
this tangible fighting force, so they're not scary in the way that AI should be scary, because they're still an opponent that can be shot, fired
Yeah.
at,
And destroyed.
exploded, cut. Mm.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen next. I mean, I think we often discuss like pacing issues where like some things like dragged out way too long. And it did kind of make, I don't know what this would be like to read this all at once, like issue 301 all the way to 315. Um,
Except the GI
what the
Joburg challenge. Read it all and
Can you
get
do
back
it,
to us.
guys? Can you do it?
The
I feel
saga.
like I feel like it'd be it would be a slog. It was a slog for us as we went through it. There was some points we were interested and it was good, but I think overall our opinions of this initial run are in Skybound. I mean, this initial story arc were fairly negative. Um,
And I think the reason underpinning that is because we so quickly picked up on the repetitions of themes.
uh,
We're like, oh my god, this has echoes of what happened 10 issues ago, which has echoes of what happened 20 issues ago. Like, we're caught in this loop. And I've always come
mm,
back to the fact that, like, without the toy line kind of telling Larry what toys he needs to feature, there's less inclination to, like, come up with something completely out of left field. Like, no one's
yeah,
telling him to shill a Defiant launch complex, so we ain't going to space. So we're caught in the cycle of like a recon team going to Cobra Island, doing some shit. Cobra's up to some shit. That shit
leaving,
gets
and
out of
then
hand,
we
and
sent
wash,
another
rinse,
one to
repeat.
check out what's going on now. Because I mean, like literally, that did yeah, that happened. Yeah, by before 300, that's what they'd done. They went there, and then within 300 to 301 to 315, they went back again.
GI Joe's had a Battle of Springfield. Well,
It's like
quite
an annual event at this point.
towards the end
We
of the
still broke the
IDW run.
Springfield, guys.
There was there was yeah, there was another battle of Springfield, and I'm blanking
Nah.
on the name of the story arc. But anyways, the upshot of all of this is by hitting
Mm,
a reset button on the mutant advanced, whatever, enhanced, and by killing off Serpentor Khan, and by all these events, maybe, just maybe, we're going to take the story into a direction that has not been done yet. I hope springs
mm.
eternal. Look, we never thought that he'd do zombies. He never dropped
Yes,
the Z word, but for all intents and purposes, and apart from them not eating brains or consuming human flesh on the panel, those were zombies. We saw G.I. Joe and Cobra mucking in the trenches with zombies.
zombies. Maybe
Rotten,
vampires are
putrefying.
next. Who knows? Who knows? Marvel and DC have done that. They've kind of shifted from zombies doing like giant events about zombies to doing vampire events. Anything's possible, and that's kind of the nice thing. Anything is possible right now.
I'm looking
Um,
forward to 316. Bring it on. But
Same.
what I
I'm
want to
very
know,
excited to
Robbie,
see what's next.
did
Mm.
you enjoy 315?
I enjoyed seeing all of that stuff end, I guess.
Right.
I mean, it still has the problems of the recent issues where he kind of over explains certain things because obviously, like, he feels he has to kind of like because it happens so quickly, he has to explain it in the dialogue. You know, like why is it suddenly ending this way? Um, and that's I don't know. Like, they don't always have to be so chatty, but I wouldn't say I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed what happened in it. Like I like being able to say, "Oh, the mutants are dead." You know, they're going back to the old pit, um, and I'm
Well,
excited for what's
sidebar
next.
then, if you are a little bit tired of wordy panels,
No, I am sometimes. There's too much dialogue in these issues sometimes. I want
then,
Give me issues with no dialogue, please.
well, I think Skybound has answered your prayers with
Oh.
two. I mean, there are going to be multiple books in this series, but the silent
Mm.
missions, these are all
Ooh, I've heard of these.
wordless. We've got Beachhead, and we've got Jinx, and now I didn't want to get into it because I know you haven't read them, but just take a look at some of these panels. This is Beachhead's story. All the art is very stylized. It's not what we're accustomed to, but the
Mm.
art is really doing wonderful work. Uh, Beachhead is,
Oh,
of
this is
course,
great.
an excellent, excellent story. Set in a kind of a snowy, bombed out town. Think Eastern European war zones. He's mixing it up with cobras. He encounters some uh, bystanders, kids, sort of eking out survival in the wreckage, and they assist him somewhat in getting back on his feet and taking the fight to Cobra. That is very fine and well, but
That's so cool.
the Jinx book is the real treat. Oh my goodness, it's so good. I mean, of course, a ninja story would lend itself to the silent format better. But if you take a
Oh,
look at
absolutely.
what Danny is her name, this artist is so good. And Jinx is the perfect subject for it with that crimson outfit.
Mm.
Ah, jeez. Heavy, heavy inks, a lot of like very simplistic colors, and what's more, a ticking clock. The whole thing resolves in 20 seconds. You can flip through this
Oh
book
my
in 20 seconds
gosh.
and see what you get out of 20 seconds. You could probably get the broad strokes of the story in 20 seconds. But like
That is
if you
wild.
if you spend like 20 minutes on this book, like a minute for every second, I think you'll see some wonderful Easter eggs. It's
This is
just
brilliant because I knew they were doing it, and I knew that they were doing it. Like the whole month of April, there'd be a whole bunch of these silent issues, but I just hadn't seen them yet. This is making me very excited.
seems like it's playing in a very limited color palette, which is also exciting. It's just so
Mm.
graphically cool. Like every page of this book is pin-up quality. And it's so nice to see the art clean,
Mm.
unfettered with any sound effects or any word balloons. It really does allow the artist to kind of take the wheel. Nothing is interrupting her work from our peepers. So give it a read.
Heck
Enjoy.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
we'll talk
definitely
about it
will.
with
I'll
Mr. Artiste Paul when he
absolutely have to. Once they're all out, I think we have to do a big silent episode. Whoa.
silent podcast. What a revolutionary idea. And yes, if you are wondering, I mean, this late into the podcast, why we are not a trio on this fine day,
Oh yeah, we
Paul's
didn't say.
computer has finally melted. It has finally given up the ghost. So guess where your Patreon money is going, dear Patreons.
Whoa, fix his
Um,
computer, guys. No,
but it was
it's
it was a toss up. Whose computer is going to fuck out first? Rob's is limping along.
oh
Mine,
my gosh.
well, neither of our laptops can close anymore. Like the
Mm-hmm.
lid is completely
Yeah,
cracked and
it's this isn't a
stuffed.
mobile device anymore. It's a desktop laptop.
But it was Paul's that gave up the ghost first. So our
Mm-hmm.
thoughts and prayers go out to his beleaguered machine. May she rest in peace.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully he
bring on that
gets he
upgrade.
gets it. Yeah, I hope it's a good upgrade. Hopefully we all get good machines one day, eh? So there's one less thing to like have to worry about. eh,
I don't know, man.
Soon.
Kim just bought a brand new MacBook, and
Ooh, sexy.
she gets zero use out of it. So that might be my next upgrade. But
Oh,
I don't
you're
know if
gonna
I
go
can make
full app.
the I don't know if I could make the jump from PC to Mac.
Well, I mean, that's always the thing because, like, with PCs, there's a lot of options. Like there's many programs that work on Windows and on PCs, and possibly the type of program that you're using. Because I mean, you're so good at using the specific programs you use. I mean, I've
Oh,
always
thank
said
you.
this. Steven is our editor. He's our main editor, and he is essentially a techno brute. I mean,
Technophobe.
he's so bad with. I mean, he knows almost nothing about technology. But he's our editor, and he's the guy who works the most on computers. I mean, well, it's probably second to Paul. Um,
Shocking.
and yeah, if you're used to Windows, I mean, you're gonna have to like relearn a lot of stuff if you're gonna have to move to a Mac OS system,
Well, if it doesn't
because
kill me, it makes me stronger. Well, ironically, I have a iPhone, so
yeah, so
I'm
you
kind
are
of
used
halfway
to
there.
certain things there. Um, but I think it has gotten better over the years. I think there are more options now than there might have been like a decade ago. So if push comes to shove, and if you have to move to a Mac system, I'm sure you will be okay. And Paul has experience on those too, so I'm sure he'll be able to recommend
He's
things for you
flipped
to
back into the
use.
PC world.
He
But
has.
anyways, you guys
Wow.
didn't tune in
Anyway,
to hear us gab about PC or
that
Mac
computer problems. Yeah.
bullshit. Let's. Oh, actually, Paul did announce it to us. He says, "I've got computer complications, guys." Riffing on the classic Sunbow episode. Which features Zorana and mainframes, a romance. Let's not forget about that. But
Mm,
let's talk
true.
about. Oh, I've got some problems with my browser.
Ooh, oh no.
PC sucks.
It's
PC sucks.
spreading. It's spreading.
All right, here we
Steven's gonna
go.
go down next.
Now, I thought this was the end of this arc, issue 5 of the
Yes,
Energon
because
Universe GI Joe book.
I'm so used to things being 5 issues these days. Because like
Yeah.
back in the day, everything was either 6 or 12. Like that was how stories worked. And these days, things can be as short as 4 issues in a story arc. And
Well, I'm
5.
hugely disappointed that we can't talk about the end of this damn thing. Like bloody hell. Anyway, here we
It's
are.
a
Destro's
good
on the cover.
penultimate issue to what to the end of the story, and it's a great setup.
Hmm.
GI Joes are captured. Cobra Commander he has captured the person that the GI Joes were tasked with protecting, Doctor
Venom, Monev.
Venom. It's just Doctor Venom,
Hmm.
and it couldn't be any worse. And yet Duke is still he's still like, I know what I'm doing, guys. Things will work out
I've got a
no
plan.
matter
I've got a
what.
plan.
It's
Yeah. Okay. Okay. The Energon universe.
Yes, I've hit on the one point I think that I have an issue with that as well.
They're making no bounds about the fact that like GI Joe is beyond mere mortals.
Yeah, this is a superhero story wrapped up in in delivery of a military um, realism.
Yeah.
Uh, because there is, I mean, when you have the characters in the story itself bringing attention to it. I mean, I think not a single issue goes by when Duke does something impossible and someone is saying, he's crazy. That shouldn't be possible. And just like, what the
This
F?
guy just won't die. Yeah.
What's going on here? Then you realize that, yes, I mean, the way that, I mean, that's probably the biggest difference between maybe often how Larry Harmer structures a mission with these characters is that there is, you see the progression of how they go through it. You know, there is a tactics behind what they're doing. I mean, I refer
Mhm.
back to 314. You know, uh, they get bottlenecked after the little prisoner girl escapes, and they have to get out of that. Lightfoot, was it Lightfoot? I keep wanting to say Lightfoot.
Tripwire.
Tripwire, kind of like he loads a
Close enough.
different type of round into his shotgun. He kind of like exhibits their superior firepower, and that gives them the chance to kind of like push forward to get out of the situation. Well, in GI Joe Energon Universe, it's like they'll just do whatever they feel like. They're like, oh, soon you'll see that they're going to get out of the situation, and their decision is, okay, we have no guns, but no, but if we just overpower the first wave, we can take their guns, and then we'll have guns, and then everything will be fine. It's just you have to suspend your disbelief. It's like they've established a baseline of danger in this universe, of killing off, rock and roll. Like there is consequences to
Hmm.
things you do, but then the heroes still do these bombastic, heroic, superheroic actions.
Yeah,
Um,
charge down a room full of cobras with automatic weapons while they're still cuffed. Did you notice that
yes,
those like they hadn't removed their
yeah,
handcuffs yet?
no, they haven't. The only person who gets his handcuffs removed is Duke. Clutch managed to shoot it off him. I think they
Mm.
still have the handcuffs on by the time they leave. I
Oh
think,
no,
if I
hang on.
remember.
Sorry, it happens between panels. That they've got the
Yes,
handcuffs on, and then
and then
they've got
whoop,
the handcuffs
gone.
off. Anyway, so yes, it does strain your disbelief. GI Joe is absolutely posited as a superhero book, and maybe
Yes,
that's how they've got to be if they're going to be encountering Transformers eventually. Which
yes.
I dread the day, but I will continue to read the title.
No, for sure. I mean, like, it's
Fun.
I am complaining, but at the same time, I am still really enjoying the entire story overall. Like, I love the action of it, but I am complaining in a way that I'm like, it's GI Joe, but I need to kind of like shift how I think of GI Joe to kind of accept them in this situation. And it's easy to do when the art is so gorgeous, and just the
Yes,
framing um, that the artist uses to kind of
spectacular.
draw is so good.
To draw Duke getting pelted with bullets and still managing to defeat the gunman with his fists.
Yeah, Tom Riley is so good. Like, I
CoverGirl
really
gets
can't say enough.
her gut bayoneted, but is able to
Yes,
turn things around and
like,
then bayonet the
takes it
bayonetter.
back.
Oh,
It's
gee.
gorgeous. And it's just so nice to see action so varied as well. Um, and someone who can kind of get like hand to hand combat and make it look visceral and interesting. They all
Oh,
have their own moves, you know.
yeah.
Baroness does a
Baroness,
cool flip.
before like just before that, she elbows a guy and actually like kneecaps him, like breaks his knee backwards
Yes.
with her elbow
Yeah.
before cartwheeling over his head or doing a side
Well, we
cartwheel.
passed over a nice little moment earlier where you kind of get this first moment of the Destro kind of having he's getting the hearts for Baroness
Oh
because
yeah,
Destro threatens. He's like, "Well, you're impossible to kill. Maybe your weakness is
your team.
your teammates." And then she says something like, "Oh, I'd like to see you try torturing me." He's like, "I will torture this woman here," and she's like, "I'd like to see you try." And there's this look of like surprise on his face, where he's like,
Mm,
"Damn,
I like that.
hmm, I would actually like to torture you now. I wasn't actually going to do it, but
And how quickly does that moment get interrupted by Chameleon? I mean, I think we all
yeah."
noticed that. Like, she's very quick to step in and like, hey, that's my man.
And it's
Hands
great
off,
because the
bitch.
moment is an art moment, like she
Mm,
says the words and the response is in his expression. Um,
hmm
so you don't always have to over say things. But yeah, great issue. Cobra Commander kind of like reveals what he's trying to do with Dr. Venom, which is develop some sort of mind bomb, which will basically, uh,
Make everyone
brainwash
loyal to
everyone.
Cobra Commander, which is, I mean, in the world of like evil schemes, that
Mm,
trope has got to be the most tired. Let me just say, and I've been guilty of using it on multiple occasions in my own play motions. That like a character, a good character, can be brainwashed to completely swear allegiance to the enemy. And I know
mm,
it sets up interesting conflicts between former allies, but like, what do you lose? You lose the credibility of the whole threat because like all of a sudden everyone's motivation goes out the window. Every character becomes a non-character because they just can so easily be turned into a like evil Cobra Commander saluting goose stepping baddie without any
yeah,
kind of like consequence. So I don't like brainwashing. The brainwave scanner is the tiredest trope of ARAH, and now it's the first MacGuffin
mm,
of the EU GI Joe series. Okay. You can't get past the lineage of this story, of this line, that Cobra Commander and Dr. Venom and Dr. Mindbender will always be caught up in mind control tropes.
yeah,
But
some sort of things like it is a staple of so many GI Joe stories. We can just hope that they do it differently, or that they kind of do a little twist to it that's interesting. So
eh,
hopefully it isn't as tight as
I'm not
you
holding my breath,
might.
but at least it looks pretty. And how interesting is it
Yeah.
that Ripper is shown to be shell shocked? Ripper is
Yes.
cowering. He's like, "No, not again, not again!" When the fireworks start happening.
Yeah, when the
That's
lasers start firing, he's really out of it.
very interesting to see that from
Mm.
one of the the, the baddies, and of course this harks back to his origins as a Cobra operative. I mean, he was taken on because he was basically made into Cobra Commander's bitch after all the other Dreadnoks, the sort of no-name Dreadnoks, get massacred by
Yeah.
Nemesis Enforcer, Immortal.
So he's like his little pet, essentially. Like, you will follow me now.
He does rock a cool uniform. Like he and Mercer
Mm,
are in this kind of Viper,
so
like
cool.
blue overall with the red ribbing along the side. It's interesting to
Mm,
see Ripper in that look because obviously he keeps his cool glasses and his like spiked gloves, but he is essentially wearing a Cobra uniform.
her uniform, yeah. And I feel sorry for Paul. He keeps like he's like, oh, Mercer one day is gonna definitely turn to GI Joe, but like he's exceptionally loyal to Destro. Like I don't see any world in which this guy turns on Destro.
Mm.
Like he puts himself in the line of fire for Destro. He knows the power of these lasers, but he's still trying to bodily protect Destro, or despite the fact that Destro is actually probably a lot more protected against this stuff than he is actually.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
showing a lot of skin, but that's all for the beatdown. I mean, once again, we see Mercer and Duke sparring, and it's glorious that they've set up that these are opposite numbers, like Mercer and Duke. Who'd have thunk it? Whoever put those
Mm,
characters in a box together as like sparring partners? Like once
yeah.
again, they're fighting. There's a physical um they I mean, one can very easily dip into a different kind of language, but like their bodies know each other. They have physical knowledge of one another. I mean, they have fought very closely.
They've
They've
fought
bled
very hard.
on one
Yes.
another.
They've
Um,
they've touched each other on multiple occasions.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
that's also the nice thing about new people taking on the Joes is you can kind of get these new character dynamics
New
or these new
pairings,
character
sure.
interactions, and it is a very interesting pair up. But yeah, I feel sorry for Paul. I really don't think Mercer. There's no world in which Mercer willingly betrays Destro, in my mind,
That's cool.
in the
I don't
EU.
think Paul would be against that notion. I
No, no,
mean,
for
this
sure. But like, he has hope. He's constantly like, ah, one day he'll turn. One day he'll turn. I'm like, nah, yeah, he ain't turning. There's no ways he's turning
What is
at all.
with the Hiss tank's main guns? Because when Clutch, who's been kind of in disguise in Cobra's headquarters all this time,
Mm.
and he's Duke's ace in the hole. How did he even know that Clutch would be around when the
He
prisoners get
didn't.
brought in?
Duke
He
even
didn't.
says that. He was like,
Whoo boy.
I didn't know, but I still shout out his name anyway, hoping he'd be there.
Just in case, just to throw Destro off.
What a
Clutch,
cool moment. And then
and
it
Destro's
doesn't
like,
work.
"What is a
What is a
clutch?"
crutch?
Um, cars have this
mm,
thing called a clutch. It's what you do to chameleon when you want to get frisky. Anyway,
ooh.
what is with the Hiss's guns having this
It
kind of
is
weird arc
interesting
effect? It's like, oh, you know what it
because
reminds me of?
mm,
Uh, uh the Fifth Element. You've got those guns that have like
oh
sort of a
yes,
recoil switch that if you fire in a certain direction, you can send all subsequent bullets in that direction, no matter where the barrel is pointing.
yes,
So like
yes,
Clutch has dialed in a certain target on the double
and it goes
Diablo cannons, and like all the sort of energon laser arcs are kind of
come out. Because
spinning around.
you would expect it to just be like giant beams, like two
Mm.
beams come out. They kind of maybe I don't know, they can sweep or just like it's a blast. But it comes out in kind of like it, and even the sound effects suggest it. And that there's multiple beams like zap 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 zap. So it's
And
like
they all
they're
have a
arcing
curve to them.
outwards.
Yeah, they all
Yes,
have
it's
this
almost like
curve.
a they're kind of like weird toy that's kind of like Tesla thing, where it's like a round ball, and when you touch it, your fingers get the electricity from the inside. What are those things
Oh
called?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Those things. So it's almost like that. It's like the head of that, and now it's
I don't
just
know. I think it's
projecting
like
out.
like a hose or one of those attachments
Yes.
that you get for kids' parties that just sort of spin around and like
So
spray
it's
like
it's
that.
completely you can't really control this thing. You just point it in a certain direction and it just sprays. Uh, I don't know, like arcs of Energon energy anywhere. It
I like
seems
that Destro, like, he's not above self-promoting even in a firefight. He's like,
we
we
built
made
this.
these his tanks too strong. We did too good a job on these things. Like, yeah, okay.
These are really too good.
We
Ah,
can't
I'm
take out our own
so.
tanks. And I guess by saying that, you kind of sidestepping the doubters that, like, why put a canopy in the middle of your tank? Well, if that
Hmm.
canopy is made of transparent steel or something, I don't know. I'm inventing that now, but like,
Yeah,
if it's got no real weak spot up front, that could help explain away his tank's, classic design.
yeah,
Just a thought.
but yeah, a fun issue, I think, overall. I mean, obviously, it's just, yeah, as you said, it's not the resolution of this entire story, but it's putting us into a cool situation. Like Duke has come face to face by the end of the issue. Spoilers. With Cobra Command, he's like, "Who the hell are you?" Because at this point, I suppose he just assumed Destro was the one in charge of all of this stuff. Because they hadn't had any knowledge of Cobra Commander. I mean, Clutch obviously knew about him, but there was no interaction there. Um, yeah, so he's slowly but surely putting the pieces in place of, like, the conflicts going forward. So yeah, I'm excited for 316 and for issue 6. Like 316 because I'm like, what can possibly happen here? And 6 because I want to see like what happens next for the Energon Universe Joes.
Well, you
Yes.
should be being more excited about silent missions, because what on the slate is your boy Spirit?
Ooh.
Yeah, boy, get excited.
Ooh.
I mean,
Well,
I hope they can do something interesting with Spirit, because, Beachhead, it didn't need to be silent.
yeah.
My big takeaway from
That's
that is, like, the story would have had words. He most certainly would have communicated with these people. Whereas the Jinx
mm,
story so totally works as a silent issue. There's no way she's talking to these
yeah,
Crimson
she's
Guards.
completely focused. Yeah, she has
Mhm.
no reason to talk to anyone. But
So
yeah,
maybe
I'm
Spirit
very
will do
excited.
something interesting with the technique,
Yeah,
like
with the concept. But
the
yeah, I'm just
mechanics.
excited that all of GI Joe is currently excited me print wise. That's
Yes.
kind of cool. That's a good situation to be in. GI Joe fan, 40 years into this entire thing, plus they're still bringing out stuff that we want to read and look at and talk about and share with you guys out
Is there a
there.
GI Joe toy that is currently rocking your world, Robbie? What have you got
Currently,
splayed out before you? Any plastic at all?
in front of me right now. Well, I still have Countdown is still out. I have Quick
Mm,
Kick still kicking around. I have
nice.
I do have a Fast Draw, Fast Shot, Sharpshooter. He's out here
Nice.
rocking his little rockets. He's kind of like yeah. I have a bunch of
Fafnir.
toys out. This
Nice.
Fafnir system, the if fire and forget, never interrupt rockets.
Why does Quick Kick get so much play for you?
I don't know. He's just so easy to just bring out and play with, and he feels I don't know. He feels timeless, and like he could literally be in any situation. When like if I bring out a soldier, it's a very like obviously soldier dude. I don't know, Leatherneck or someone. It's like I feel like I can only really like get
Pose him with a
down on
gun.
my haunches and have to like put him through the bushes or something.
Oh yeah.
Well, quick kick. It's like like anywhere I am, he can literally do something. He's running on the side of the bus, or he's kind of like I don't know, jumping from tree to tree as I walk to work. He's fighting off the fleas that are trying to fucking eat me as I as I go to
God.
work.
So, just to put everyone in the frame, Rob has now picked a new route to work,
Yes,
and this goes past a
I
place where people walk their dogs, and you're convinced that you are picking up fleas from
I
the
am
trees.
convinced by this. Well, maybe not from the trees, but from the ground as I walk the path.
Incredible.
Uh, well, I mean, thankfully, the last week or so, I haven't picked up many. So I don't know if people are walking their dogs less, or maybe my theory is incorrect. Um, it is possible, but we'll see what happens. I'll keep
Well,
everyone up to date on my. But yeah, I
listeners,
haven't had any for a while now.
if you're listening to this and you feel you have also, like, just from your walking route, if it's gone where many people walk their dogs, have you picked up fleas? Have you found fleas in your
Yeah.
clothing
Has
often?
that been an issue you've had? Let us know. Stephen is not convinced, and he needs as many people as possible to tell him he's
Well,
right.
I suppose, a dog with fleas will scratch itself and flick them off, and if they,
Yeah.
wow,
They
then
they
they're just drawn to you, Rob.
they like me. I don't know. It's the same with like mosquitoes. Mosquitoes absolutely adore me. Just insects in general. I'm insect favorite of all insects.
Guys like
But
me are blessed by having guys like you and girls like my wife around at all
yeah, they
times, because
just attract those away from you. You're like,
they're
what are
not
you talking
interested in
about?
me.
There's no
They've got a
mosquitoes around here.
Yeah,
I
they got
slept
your
like a
sweet
baby.
blood to get at. For me, I actually went to bed last night with on the pillow beside me, not my missus, because she's in my firstborn's room, because the
No.
7-month-old is now occupying a room all on his own. We're sleep training the kid.
Oh,
We will
cute.
train him how to sleep. But yeah,
You'll learn.
if one of us was in the room with him, like, he would sense that and be like, getting restless.
I
Anyway,
know.
so on the pillow beside me, yeah, I'm sleeping like a king on my own. Amazing. On the pillow beside me, I have the 1988 Troop Builders. There's something so
Ah.
nice when you put them together and you've got Toxo Viper, Astro Viper, Hydra
Mm.
Viper, and the Iron Grenadier. Because
Mm.
the distinction between Iron Grenadiers and Cobra Forces didn't exist when we encountered this line of toys.
Yeah,
There
they were
wasn't.
just another Cobra
They were
troop.
just the foot soldiers of the 1988 year for us.
Mm.
So I included it in that, and that's borne out by the fact that in the Benelux catalog, which we took a look at, they are in that big group shot, that team shot of like Voltar on the steps presenting all the forces to Battle Armor Cobra Commander. And you've got these groupings of Toxo Vipers, Astro Vipers, Iron Grenadiers, and Hydra Vipers. And they all have a team leader, and the team leader has his helmet off.
Mm.
Well, the ones that can remove their helmets, Iron Grenadiers. Sorry about you guys. So nice. They're in these kind of triangular formations. The picture's awesome. Um,
Mm.
I'm not going to trouble my computer and dig it out. But it's so nice to put this
Yes.
grouping together.
And
You've got
it works
Hazardous.
together,
Yeah.
Like
Got the
the
Frogman,
colors. Yeah.
Spaceman, Hazardous Environment Trooper, and then the Grunt. Because absolutely, for this year, IG, he's your Grunt.
Yes, no, for sure. And the color schemes are also very nice as well. You get the purples, and they all have a hint of red on all of them.
Oh, yes.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, they marry together very well. I think 1988 did a good job of creating a unified force of like enemies that you had to fight against. Pretty
And
smart.
not a
Pretty
single
smart.
smidge of Cobra Blue on that grouping, actually. So
That is
it's
true.
it's a departure, but it works. Anyway,
Absolutely.
that was
Shockwave stole
my
all the blue that year.
yes, Shockwave forever and always, right by my side. This guy,
Number
this
one.
is my one with his
Yeah.
yellowish blue pants from all the years
Oh,
of play, with his loose joints.
what a
But yeah,
guy.
my childhood Shockwave was never a complete figure. And it was such a thrill the day I was able to like slide his knife in for the first time. I think
Ooh.
I lost his original knife in like the municipal dump one day, going there with my dad to like drop off some leaves or something.
Helping you,
A
Dad. I'm cutting these
garden
leaves up
refuse.
with my little knife.
Lost forever. And now it's
Thanks, son. You're a big help.
in my in my wildest imaginings, I'd like to think that knife is now part of the foundations of the building that now stands where that dump was.
Oh, there we
It's
go.
quite a swish shopping center,
Ooh.
actually. Yeah, very nice. At the
Oh,
top
yeah.
of Ladies Mile is
Fancy.
this lovely Checkers and Woolworths. Very zhuzh. All the Constantia mummies love to shop there.
Oh my
Anyways,
god,
we've
we
blown
love going
we've blown
there.
far off topic. If you are listening to this and you haven't read these books, maybe consider picking them up. Or
Yeah,
based
please
on
do
our
so.
recommendation, maybe don't. I give a hearty recommendation to the Jinx Silent Mission, and I'd like to see where the rest of those go.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have read these things, shoot us a comment. Let us know what your thoughts are. Were we way off? or did you kind of fall on the side of GI Joburg on this
You
one?
agree with us, or just wherever you landed in that entire spectrum, just talk to us. Let us know. We're
We want
very
to hear from
interested to
you.
see what you guys think. Are you still
Yeah.
excited for GI Joe?
We dig our patrons. They help us out,
Oh,
replacing hardware that is now scrapped
it's
and
dead. It's dying.
redlined for the landfill.
It's dead,
Um,
Jim.
and thank you also to our YouTube members who also support the show. Yeah, interesting developments will be happening in terms of Patreon and YouTube
Oh,
membership, but I
things are
won't tip my
happening.
hand just yet.
Oh,
We are looking at a way to consolidate everything and make sure
just
everyone
make it
gets the
easier for people to enjoy.
same
Like make it
ride.
easier for just enjoy the stuff that we produce. And make it easier. You just go to one place. Why do you want to go to multiple places? It's like when you go out to the shops. You want to go to a mall because you get all your shops there. You got your Toys R Us. Well, you don't have Toys R Us anymore. Uh, well, there's something at the mall for you. So come join our mall.
But Patreon or no, YouTube membership or no, we are always going to be here every single week. GI Joburg, we're unstoppable.
Absolutely.
Free as
Absolutely.
the air, and talking about GI Joe
Wow.
because
I
I don't
love
know
I love free air.
what would you do with your brain if you didn't have this podcast every week? Like we would just rot.
I don't know. Yeah, I would just kind of like lie there and stare at YouTube all day long and watch. I don't even know what.
No, no,
I'm
no.
glad other people are rotting their brains watching us. We rot your brain, so you don't rot ours.
Hey man, as far as I'm concerned, talking about this stuff is tantamount to playing with you, Rob. We're playing with
There
our
we
toys
go.
right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Feels good playing together
Everyone
again.
everyone watching us play with our action figures.
Playing with each other. I hope you guys
We've
enjoyed this.
overstayed our
It's
welcome
free.
now. Oh, jeez. Paul, come back. Rob's
Save
getting
us.
weird. All right, dudes.
I'm getting with you. Getting with.
We're just weird. We're weird old boys
Just a couple of
enjoying
weirdos, a
our
couple of
hobbies.
creeps.
Yo, Joe.
Burke.